Shabbat Shalom. We welcome you to the sanctuary at Temple Ohev Sholom. A little different this Shabbat. Instead of the chapel, we kind of figured you missed the sanctuary as much as we did. So we'll do services from here. Just as a reminder, I'm always here for you on my email at rabbi@ohevsholom.org or on my cell phone at 717-460-6444. Just to let you know, we will be recording a Tat Shabbat service, so look for that coming soon. Let's begin with a cleansing breath and let go of any of the aggravation of the past week. And we'll begin by turning to page 121 to light our Shabbat candles. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We continue on page 124. We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold, weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak. Let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. We continue with Shalom Aleichem on page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitfuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umabdil ben yom uven layla Adonai tsevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, baruch ata Adonai hama'ariv aravim. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world. In each age we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth. In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch ata Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. The Shema is on page 267. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Behafta, page 268. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha vehayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shiftecha b'betecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al-yedecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uktavtam al-mezuzot betecha uv'isharecha Leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 269. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom. Bichamocha, page 270. Yam bam 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 bibi bam yam bam bim bam yam bam 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 bibi bam yam bam bim bam ay 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 yam bam bim bam ay 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 yam bam bim bam mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha Dar Bakodesh, no rat kilot bibi bam, yabba ba ba bim bam, yam bam bam bam, bibi bam, yabba ba ba bim bam, ay 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 ay, yabba ba ba bim bam, ay 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 ay, yabba ba ba bim bam. And let's join together on page 271. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence, we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. V'shamru, page 272. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בגדולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בגדולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בגדולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בגדולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בגדולם. Tefillah is on page 273. Adonai sefatai kitach ufia tehillatcha. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh HaKol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיח ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Page 278. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. We continue now with Ritzeh on page 279. Page 281. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise. For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being. For all these things, O sovereign God, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha ne'el lehodot. Shalom Rav, page 282. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, now turn in our prayer books to page 371 as we ask God's blessings on those in our community and our families who are in need of healing by singing the Mishaberach prayer.
Slow
Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim. We praise you, Adonai, our God who heals the sick. And we say Amen. And we hope this prayer takes care of those who are sick in our communities, the caregivers in our midst, and those who are working hard, doing the more difficult things in life to make sure that we are safe and healthy. May God bring healing to us all, and we say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion is called Korach, after the name of a cousin of Moses who questions his authority while we were traveling in the desert. Korach leads a rebellion against Moses because he feels Moses isn't a fit leader to deliver us to the land of Israel. The idea of a rebellion obviously is not a new one. We find it here in the Hebrew Bible. We learned about rebellions during the war against the British for our freedom. Many of us lived through the rebellions that questioned our involvement in Vietnam, and we certainly see rebellion in our communities today. Today, the rebellions we see across America take on many forms. Most of them are rooted in the perceived restrictions of our civil liberties, and we find Americans rebelling from all facets of our political proclivities. There are demonstrations that protest the activities of the police force, demonstrations that focus on the Black Lives Matter movement and the ways to peacefully rebel against a government that marginalizes minorities. There is a rebellion in the State House down the street that focuses on questioning the authority of our governor and our Secretary of Health when it comes to opening up our counties to provide more freedom. And there is a rebellion that is taking place in shops, businesses, and restaurants where people feel that wearing a mask to prevent COVID-19 is restrictive behavior that circumvents their civil liberties. There's a lot to rebel about today, and just as it has been for generations, it continues. Korach may have been one of the first, but he certainly will not be the last to lead a rebellion. Healthy rebellion, along with peaceful demonstrations and the respect of everyone's freedoms, is the cornerstone of being an American. As Jews, we are called to take this a step further. It is not enough to respect differing opinions. We must also put the effort to truly understand opposing viewpoints and ensure that others feel understood. Once someone feels understood, they are disarmed and receptive to new ideas. This is the key to mutual understanding and healing the world. Mutual understanding is how we transcend our differences. When we see rebellion, we have a choice. We can voice our position and demand to be heard, or we can set the example by working to understand others first, thereby initiating the cycle of mutual understanding. This is yet another way to continue on our journey of Tikkun Olam, the perfection of our world. I wish all of us a Shabbat Shalom. We continue with Aleinu on page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוסף ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל העולם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. The Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yomad yivrach cheruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'galo v'zman kariv v'yimaru amen. Yehesh shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei kudsho b'richu, ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran v'yama v'yimaru amen. Yehesh lomo Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of us who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say, Amen. And now a very strong thank you to our organist, accompanist, and musical director, Chris Prestia, for producing this wonderful service. And Chris, let's end with Adon Olam on page 625. Adon Olam asher malach, b'terem kol yitzir nevrach, le'et nasa v'chef zachol, zamelech shemo nikra Adon Olam, v'yachareh kichlot hakol, levado yimloch nora Adon Olam, vehu hayam, vehu hoveh, vehu yeh b'tifara Adon Olam, Adon Olam asher malach, b'terem kol yitzir nivrach, le'et nasa v'chef zachol, azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam, v'ya'ado av kidruchi ve'tishan ve'a'ira Adon Olam, ve'imruchi gediati Adon Olim ve'lo ira Adon Olam, Adon Olam asher malach, b'terem kol yitzir nivrach, le'et nasa v'chef zachol, azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam. And now let me take a moment to ask God's blessings on all of us. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, our God and God of our mothers and fathers, grant us a Shabbat filled with joy and rest, and grant us a week ahead filled with good health and with peace. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.